Greetings, my movie geeks. Flash, directed by Andy Muschietti, stars Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Sasha Calle, amongst others, and sees a retelling, or at least a different version of the Flashpoint story. I just wanted to start with how this film has been marketed, because there has been a lot of hype for this film from directors, actors, or even authors coming out and quoting that this is the best comic book movie of all time. The likes of James Gunn, Stephen King, and even Tom Cruise have all said how good this film is. But after viewing the film myself, I need to ask, what film did they watch? Now, I wanted this to be good. I wanted this to be enjoyable, and to an extent, it is. Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Sasha Calle are all extremely well placed to portray the characters. They work well together, and as Miller plays opposite themselves for most of the film, you get used to the quirky nature of Barry quite quick. Barry's character development comes quickly, but the heart and sadness you feel for him is maintained through the film. And once Barry finds himself, he seems to mature quickly. The story is alright. It's a standard Flashpoint fare. He misses his mum, so he goes back in time to save her. It's quite sad that it is the trailers, the announced spoilers that seem to let this film down, because this made the film fairly predictable. Sadly, and I mean this sincerely, there was something here that could have been great. Keaton, Miller, and Calle hold the story together, and it's the strong second act that is worth the price of admission. And that is it. The nods to earlier films like Man of Steel could have meant something if this universe was continuing. There is a sequel that could have been set up where Barry has to go back and try and find his way home to his universe, but depending on the box office, we don't know whether Ezra Miller will come back for a sequel. It does look back to Man of Steel, but all the sequences that refer to earlier DCEU movies, it's clear that we're still suffering from the damage caused by Joss Whedon's Justice League. As a send-off to those characters, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman are all gone. It felt quite disrespectful. There was a Superman-sized hole that, despite an attempt for it to be filled, it just wasn't. And it just wasn't enough. The effects were very hit and miss, with some very rubbery moments that were noticeable and garish. And what stood out to me was the music and the comedy. It felt like it had been taken over from the MCU. They've taken cues from those films. And the big finale was a letdown, having some big cameos and suggesting what the worlds of DC, you remember that, looks like from Flash's vantage point. Again, the additional Supermen plainly showed how the studio have squandered their own Superman. The cameos are garish and soulless, literally being there for a moment that was clearly designed for a cheer moment, yet because the effects aren't good, it just comes across as a wasted opportunity. But they amounted to nothing. They're just a couple of fleeting video game cutaways, emotionless and hollow. They come and go and don't really try to say anything. They could have been so much more. The crazy thing is, I felt CW did this better and cheaper. We saw Chris Reeve, George Reeves, Adam West, Helen Slater, and even a weird little cameo of Nicolas Cage's Superman Lives. While looking like a cool video game moment, it doesn't pack the emotional punch that other moments could have had. Imagine seeing the Injustice universe or even the CW Flash pop up. Why not get Brandon Routh to play the Superman he played? Or even, here's a thought, have Henry Cavill. That would have been quite an interesting opportunity. You could have showed the Snyder Nightmare scenario. I might have to do a separate video on this. As we saw from the set photos showing Keaton and Supergirl at the courthouse with Barry, the end, I do wonder how different this film was before the changes were made to fit it in with the new DCU. Because it felt like there was something missing. We got a new green screened ending, adding the most derided version of Bruce Wayne ever. And I wonder how far the hashtag release the Muschietti cut would get. But I do think that this is probably just it now. They won't release anything else. As said, it's yet another DC movie that treats Cavill's Superman with disdain. Cameos from Affleck, Godot, Irons and Momoa are fleeting and quite poor. Probably below the standard of the Justice League movie. And the ones who are missing, Cavill and Fisher, they were noticeably absent. It was quite sad for a send-off to the universe that people love. I do. Overall, I wanted to like Flash. It had elements that were enjoyable. The flashback to Man of Steel Black Zero event, where you find out that Flash was actually there, was great, and would have been great if it was made earlier on. But the majority just left me cold. This is a poor person's No Way Home. Warner Brothers giving what they think that we want instead of giving us what we actually want. The Flash is nowhere near the best comic book movie ever made. In fact, it's quite far down that list. I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 because I didn't really have fun with it. It wasn't a very good film. And now you know movies. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified every time we upload a video.
It's not Clark.
My name is Kara.
I'm Barry. We're Barry. Barry, what are you doing?
Our kids are gonna want to see this.